My name is Kala. I am a freelance journalist and I also run my own clothing and home decor brand where I use African prints. So, mum of two also. Um, Currently, I guess, solo parenting. So I juggle all of that, trying to, live the dream. Sometimes you question, am I like dressed appropriately or is my hair okay for this situation? Should I have worn my plain smaller glasses today? It does go through your mind. You just have to work through and just figure out what is it that you want to represent and show. Like who do you want to show that you are? I guess maybe at a certain point of my life I was happy to do that, as in I'd be like, that's such a skill, like this is, look at me, I can like fit into every sort of situation, like I know how to behave in every situation. um but it shouldn't be at the expense of losing yourself.
My next guest is a journalist turned creative founder and the woman behind a Nigerian inspired design brand bringing both African prints into everyday life. Kala doesn't just create, she takes up space. Her work sits at the intersection of culture, identity, and visibility, shaped by her experience navigating rooms where she's often the only one. Her path hasn't been traditional, from newsrooms to sewing machines, building a brand without formal training, all whilst raising two children. It's layered, is evolving, and entirely her own. In this conversation, we'll talk about learning confidence over time and the shift from fitting to standing out. We explore building a business from scratch, turning rejection into redirection, and why representation, especially for the next generation, matters so much. This is a conversation about owning your difference and creating something meaningful. If this episode resonates, follow, leave a review, or you can DM me over on Instagram at Creatively Eccentric. If you would love to be a guest and share your story, register to join the guest waitlist. You'll be the first to hear when applications reopen. The link to sign up will be in the show notes.
As you get older, it's a wonderful thing because you really just stop to caring what people think. It's such a powerful thing. Like you can let go and you can, not to say that I'll just do crazy things because I don't care what people think, but in terms of caring what other people think and how they perceive you can often hold you back. And not taking that out of the equation, I think, really helps me be like, well, the only person I'm going to potentially disappoint is myself. So why not try it? Why not do it? Why not, turn up to this event? Why not have a go at doing this? I'm quite strong in what the message that I put out. I say what I think to a certain extent. Like I'm quite, I don't just say things for the sake of saying it, but if I have to say it, I will say it. But in terms of the message that I'm giving, I think, again, as I get older, I have a better idea of the messages that I want to put out. So again, it's not just for the sake of talking or saying something, it's because these things are things that I believe in, that I hold close. Like, for example, in my journalism career, I think it's very important that um, as individual that I hold space in, and I potentially am in areas, spaces that it's not like I'm in the minority. So I think it's very important that I speak and be seen in those spaces. And I think it's very important to show young people that they can do this, that it shouldn't be an exception for them, that they should have the courage and just for it not even to be a thing, to be honest, that it's not even a thing, that it should just come to them naturally. Like they don't have to think, oh, this isn't for me, this environment isn't for me, this career isn't for me. That it just comes naturally. Um, yeah.
Mm. Going to different spaces and environments is difficult, as you know, for anybody at any stage in their development or their life or their career. When did you first realize that you were navigating spaces where people like you weren't always represented?
Um, I, it's it was probably when the reason I hesitate is that probably I realized it, but I wasn't very like fussed by it at all. I was just like, because growing up, I've always been in mixed environments, as in, if I'm with a lot of people, like if I'm one of the few black people there, it didn't really bother me as such. Like my background, my upbringing, um, I'm from a Nigerian family, African family. Um, I'm from Hackney, East London, so it's not like I was always in very, very mixed environments, but there were times when I would just be the only black person like interested in theatre. Like when I went to university in Kent, and I'm pretty sure I did drama and English, and I'm pretty sure I was one of the few black people doing those subjects, and most of my friends were doing like accounting, law, etc., etc. You know, friends that were in the AfroCab society, they were doing those sorts of topics. So even from being at university, I sensed that difference. But because of my background, where growing up, I had spent some time in the West Midlands in Telford, so at that time, that's a place where there wasn't a lot of black people anyway, and I was living with a white family. Um, I guess that interaction just never made me feel like, oh, this is awkward, this is weird. But then when you're trying to navigate your career, and I don't know, like I'm working at a national paper on the news desk, and they're mistaking you for like the only other black female that works there. Just like, actually, this is a bit weird. Or like when I did showbiz journalism, and there were times that you'd get to know some of the celebrities, and there were a couple of celebrities. They'll be like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And they'd be talking to you, and then at some point you'd realise that they think that you're that other black female journalist, and I'd be like, "Well, should I like make it clear, or should I just continue the conversation so I can get the interview, get the story, etc., etc." So those sort of things you can laugh off, but when it's in a situation where maybe you're the senior person, but because you're with, I don't know, a white female, or you're with a white male, and the person turns around and assumes that they are the senior person, that they are the person that's supposed to be there, that is very frustrating. And it kind of takes away from all the hard work that you've put in to be in that position. Maybe I would attend an event, it's my name that's listed as the guest, and that the white person, for example, is my plus one. But when you get to the door, it's like straight away they'll look to the other person to be like, "Oh, hi, welcome." And you're like, "Hello, it's me." And you, yeah, my name's Calla. So things like that, and I also, I guess for me, there was also a point where working with, in particular, white males in the industry, you see the confidence that they have, that also allows them to, I guess, push through any issues, and that mentality, that, oh, you're not supposed to be here, or you don't have the skills for this. It's just a confidence that they have. And for a long time, I used to be like, well, let me just try and have that mentality, because it's obviously working. Um, but it is, it is hard. I have moments of self-doubt, especially when I'm running my own business as well. Um, it's not always easy to be confident. My daughter thinks that I'm so confident, and it's something that comes with age and time. Like, and it's not always there. Like, you do sometimes, like, I feel so happy for people where it comes naturally. You do have to put in the work. Sometimes you get the confidence through life experience. um, but yeah, that's why I am so passionate about putting that message out to people when they're young, because then at least they can learn from the experience that I've had, that people before them have had.
It's a tricky one because there's so many different layers to what you've just said regards to when you walk into a room and you've got several things going on. First of all, being maybe a female in a male dominated environment or being, person of color. And then on top of that, you've got a creative industry that can be a bit clicky, bit, their businesses and their creativity or their jobs. And have you experienced moments where you felt outside of those creative circles as well?
Occasionally, but I do actually think that I've been, I don't want to say lucky, because I have put in the work and I have the experience. But in terms of the people that I've managed to surround myself with in journalism, I have been given quite a lot of opportunities. There was a point where a lot of my jobs were from word of mouth, rather than me actually applying for a role and going through the interview process. So I would say that even though I was a minority, I was I was never, I wouldn't say I was an outsider. Like, I guess with everything, it's very important to find your tribe. They might not be the same tribe throughout your career, but for each moment and each section, it's very important to find your tribe. In terms of running a business, being in this industry, like the creative industry that I am, in terms of making and selling, um, that can be extremely cliquey. In terms of, when you start out, you're trying to get onto the markets and you just never get accepted, and you're just like, what's going on here? And then you see the same people being accepted for the same markets over and over again. That can be very, like, frustrating. But again, it's surrounding yourself with the right people and providing an alternative. I mean, when we saw that, a couple of us, we decided to start organizing our own markets. And then that gave us the opportunity to show what we had. Um, so yeah, and sometimes you just keep working on yourself as well, because I guess some of the markets I was applying for, maybe I wasn't ready for them at that time. But I think when you have been in doing it for some time and you're still not getting accepted, then you're just like, actually, let's just try others. Maybe that one is not for me anyway. I need to try different avenues. One of the things I'm really looking to do more of is organizing my own pop-ups, because I think that does suit my brand more. I have so many aspects of my brand, like the kids clothing, adults clothing, lamps, lampshades. It's an experience to, like, shop with me. That's what I like to think. So I think with having a space where I can display everything, and I can curate it, bringing together, you know, talented makers that I've worked with before, I've, like, traded with before, like, I can vouch for them. And also, what I love to do is bring an element of art to it as well, because visually that looks amazing in the space. And that's come about from being rejected from certain markets, or going to a market that you've paid, like, a crazy amount of money for, and not making the money back. So And it's like, who's the loser here? Who's the winner? Is the winner is the person that organized the market, because they've got all everybody's like table fee in their pocket, and you're going home without like having not made a profit. So the way I see it is like, if I'm doing my own pop-up, I've created an experience. I'm marketing my brand, I'm marketing myself, and um, the other people that I've chosen to take part. And even if I don't make a huge profit from it, at least it's been focused on my brand, and my brand is, the name is getting out there.
Yeah, I think you actually answered the next question. I know you're not formally trained as like a seamstress, but you make stuff manually, and you built your successful design brand. Did you feel that you had to prove yourself more by showing that building your own lane, creating up your own pop-ups? As a designer embracing like African style prints, have you ever felt pressure to tone it down, your culture expression, to fit into industry expectations at all?
That is what my brand is. It is like, literally, that is what it says on the tin. It's like bright African prints. So I guess in terms of the brand, no. But sometimes when I do go to certain places, I do think, okay, which fabrics are going to work in these situations? Maybe some of the more muted ones would be better. I guess I've learned a lot about how I display things, so it's complementary rather than lots of different fabrics clashing. In terms of how I present myself in certain situations, but as I said, as the years go on, I'm just like, this is me. But I've definitely questions question, like, if I'm somewhere and I'm not making sales, or people are not approaching me, I'm like, is my hair like too big today? Is it too, like, afro? Are my glasses too big? Am I being too like loud type thing? I'd say that goes the same for when I've been working as a journalist as well. Sometimes you question, am I like dressed appropriately, or is my hair okay for this situation? Should I have worn my plain smaller glasses today? That sort of thing, it does go through your mind. But yeah, I guess it's something that you just have to work through and just figure out what is it that you want to represent and show. Like, who do you want to show that you are you the person that is just like always changing themselves to fit into any situation? And I guess maybe at a certain point of my life, I was happy to do that, as in, I'd be like, that's such a skill, like, this is, look at me, I can like fit into every sort of situation, like I know how to behave in every situation. um but it shouldn't be at the expense of losing yourself. So I think, yeah, just need to be mindful of that.
At what point did you realize that being who you are, being different, might actually be your biggest creative advantage?
It's probably more of a recent thing. Developing my brands, especially, I think, has helped me realize that people are not just they're not just tapping into the products. It's the person selling it, the face of the brand or behind the brand, that they're they're liking, I guess. So yeah, it's probably quite a recent thing where I've realized that I do need to step out and represent my brand more. Um, Also represent myself as a brand when it comes to my journalism career.
Yeah, and you're just trying to find your own, trying to find your own style, and also find your own way within your brand as well. And because you're almost the front of the brand, it's not just the clothing and the patterns. You actually are being the spokesperson for your own brand. And I was interested about your African prints that we talked about earlier. Is there like a cultural meaning? Do you see the designs as like kind of a storytelling within the fashion and the interiors that you create?
They have meanings like, that's why you'll find some like crazy prints. I always remember when once I brought this fabric and I was like, oh, it's like a pretty shell printed all over it. And then as I was actually using it, I realized that it was a typewriter that had been like, that was the actual print, that it was typewriters all over it. And I think sometimes it's linked to like, I guess what your trade would have been like. In my parents' village, there's a print that um, they often wear, and it's got fishes on it because it's a fishing village. Yeah. So, but I mean, in terms of the prints I choose, I just love color, and which is weird because growing up, probably until my like mid 20s, I only wore like dark colors. I wore blacks and blues, as in my best friend now used to take the piss out of me all the time to be like, you only like, you literally look like your waiter. I remember like once buying, I think it was like a red jumper from was it United Colors of Benetton? Is it like such a old shop, old school shop? And I was just like, I'm gonna put some color in my life. I bought it, and I ended up returning it because I was just like, this is so not me. It's way too bright. But now, like, I mean, you can see what I'm wearing, and even my glasses. Like, I just, and I guess maybe that's part of the process of like finding yourself, and just, as you get older, you're just like, actually, did I just wear dark colors because I was just trying to like fit in, or did I actually want to be wearing the brighter colors? So yeah, it's interesting.
You spoke earlier about how there's African prints to be used more regularly, not just in special occasions.
My brand is about introducing the fabric to new faces, new people that maybe wouldn't have even thought of, especially, putting it on lamps and lampshades. Like, that's not always how it's being used. So I like to use the fabric in ways that it hasn't been used before. And in terms of making it an everyday thing, um, that has really been influenced by my children, because they're of mixed heritage. Um, their their father is Jamaican. So for me, it's about, like, I know as a Nigerian, we're everywhere. We're very like, when we're there, that we're there. So for me, it was more about, well, I want my kids to just like feel comfortable wearing the print, but for it not to be overwhelming, I guess. So that's why I started making the bibs, because you can wear it on like a plain vest, and then just have a touch of the African print. That's why I have the t-shirts, which just has a little bit of the African print, but it makes a statement, and it says I'm here without being like, completely in your face. And I have noticed that that's very, it's welcoming, because it does make lots of people feel that they can, as long as they're respecting it. Because I do get a lot of people coming to me and say, is it okay? Like, I'm a white middle class woman. Is it okay for me to be wearing this fabric? And my answer is always, look, as long as you're respecting the fabric and you're not like using it to go and mimic our culture, or, take the mickey out of it, there's no reason why you cannot wear this fabric or have it in your home. It's all about appreciation. And I think that's always important, because a lot of my customers are of a different race, a different culture. And it's interesting because it's the patterns, it's the vibrancy, it's the fact that it just looks good. Like they appreciate it, and why shouldn't they? You know,
Mm. Yeah, and you'll probably get out to more wider audience or clientele, or and by doing that, you're building a stronger community that way. And I know that you're doing a lot of work with the by women built in a movement, to buy from women founders. The idea behind by women built is simple, but it's not everyone can invest in female founders. Do you think the conscious consumer um, is supporting small creative brands, do you think, more and more these days?
the value of supporting small or shopping small, supporting small businesses. We are contributing so much. Like, and the people that I meet who are small business owners, yeah, a lot of them, their mothers. The reason why they've got a small business is to accommodate their children. Some of them are carers. Some of them are they've got long-term illnesses themselves, so they can't work full time, or they can't operate in a corporate world, or wherever they were working before. There's so many reasons why they've chosen to run a small business, and they're still functioning, they're still providing, they're still contributing to the economy. Like, I can't remember the percentage, but it's a crazy percentage of like how much we as female founders contribute to the economy. But in terms of the assistance that we get, it doesn't equate to it. So it is a struggle. And I only just recently joined by Women Build, but it has been it has been very interesting being part of that community, because like I said, yeah, you just meet so many amazing female founders, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like if they can achieve all of this with whatever is going on in the background, you know what's possible for me is very inspiring. But I see that, to be honest, I see it all the time in like being in being a small business owner. Like even in my studio, there's like so many um amazing female founders who, they're working so hard. And I guess that's what I was talking about previously, and about finding your tribe. It's like, you're being surrounded by people who are on a similar journey to you, that are facing similar problems. It's an opportunity for you to speak to each other, advise each other, support each other, and I guess push each other along. Whereas, before maybe I might be like, oh, I just don't think this is for me. Like, um, this is not what I'm good at. Someone might turn around to you and be like, no, I think this is your strength. This is your strength, and this is what you need to go and do. So yeah, it is really important. And like I said, your tribes can change. Like, there's no reason for you to feel that because this is who I surrounded myself with at the beginning of my journey, I have to stay with them. Everybody grows, everyone changes directions slightly, and it's okay to then find another tribe that is going to push you maybe a bit further, have different opinions, to make you push yourself and just continue to evolve and achieve the things that you need to achieve.
That's all important, having that support system. You drive each
Yeah,
other, and support each other through hard times and good times as well. Part of the conversation is called Studio Draw. It's a play on words. So it's like your physical draw, creativity, drawing, that messy draw that nobody wants to talk about. What's your favourite way to break out of a creative rut?
I'm sure lots of people love music, but I do love music. To like, I have two pairs of headphones in my studio. So I have one which I'm always like commuting with, and it's always in my bag. But occasionally I might leave it at home. So I have a spare pair for when I'm in the studio, just in case I come to the studio and I don't have my other pair, because I I have to have music. Like I love listening to music while I'm making. You might even find me like doing a little two step in the studio when I'm like, but then, but well, fortunately for my other studio colleagues, I try not to break into song too often. And often, if I do start singing, sometimes then I make mistakes, so I do have to control myself. I remember there was one time I was like really in the vibe. I was really vibing, and I thought no one was here, so I was like singing along, and then I realized I'd like sewn a skirt like the wrong way round or something like that. So when we get to the singing stage, I've taken it too far. But yeah, I love music, love listening to. And my favorite for working in the studio is a bit of Afro beats, 90s R&B. That's my vibe. I also love a bit of neo soul, but trying to keep the vibes up. So a good mix.
What material or tool or medium you've always wanted to experiment with, but you haven't done so yet?
At the moment, I don't have the studio space. I don't have the tools as well. I just would love to create a range of like stools or, armchairs with African print all over it. Like, as in, for me, that's what I would love to do, for sure. Yeah.
What is the weirdest source of inspiration you've ever used in a project?
I don't know how weird this is. It's fairly weird considering my background. Like, I have typical African Nigerian parents. Like, we don't do pets. But I went through a phase where I was obsessed. Like I was like, I want to get a cat or a dog. Probably like a dog is more my thing. So because of that, because I was so obsessed with the idea of getting a dog, um, I started making dog bandanas. So I now do dog bandanas in the African print, which basically stemmed from my obsession that I was gonna get a dog at some point. But although the bandanas are for cats as well. But now I'm like, actually, I don't know whether I want a cat or a dog. My sister has two cats, and and I've always thought, no, I don't really like cats because they're a bit like fickle. Um, but I don't know. Now I'm like, actually, yeah, I'm confused, but it's not happening anytime soon, so I've still got time to think about it. I feel like because I've got two kids as well, I'm like, do I want another like child to look after? We did get fish though.
Last question in Studio Draw. What's a mistake in your career that turned out to be a secret blessing?
Maybe I would say. So for a time, so I my journalism career, I would say was very I did the local journalism, then I went on to the nationals, but in between leaving like the run of local papers that I worked for, I did work for a business paper. I won't name the name. There's not that many, to be honest. People will probably guess, but I worked for a business newspaper because I decided I was going to leave local newspapers and try and move my career along. And I was working there as a feature writer, and let's just say it was not for me. It was not for me at all. It was I can't even say it was because it was very corporate, but it was one of those spaces where I was in the minority, and I think at that stage of my life I was very, I don't know, misunderstood, I guess. And maybe I wasn't as confident as I am now, especially in new environments. I say misunderstood, but you know, a lot of the time that's not on me. It's on the person that is making the assumption based on what, you know, they think or believe that you are. So I really had a tough time there. It's a long time ago, but I do remember, and I remember the feelings, like the actual feelings of just being like, I didn't know that going to work, it shouldn't be this hard. Like I shouldn't be having these sorts of emotions when I'm going into work and being with my colleagues. So I guess that was a mistake for me taking that job. But because of that, because I was just like, I'm just gonna leave. Like I didn't even have another job to go to. I was just like, I've got to leave. I spoke about it with my partner at the time. I was just like, you know, if I leave, like, you know, are we going to be okay? Like I had to have that conversation because me growing up, I've always worked as well. I've never like been in that sort of situation where I didn't have a job, or but it was, you know, it just wasn't the place for me. So I left and I just started messaging contacts to be like, I'm freelancing, you know. I got my computer at the time. Everything was on my desk. I had my notebook. I set myself up at home and I was just like, I'm a freelance journalist. And started to send out emails and just be like, yeah, I've decided to go freelance. Like, is there any work? Can you point me in the right direction? Like, and that's basically how I started my freelance journey, and working on the nationals, because one of my friends was working at the Mirror at the time, and he's like, "They need, yeah, come and do some shifts. Or can you go to this event for me?" And I ended up working for the 3 a.m. column. So yes, I wouldn't. I guess that just made me realize that that was not for me. I loved entertainment. I loved, you know, especially loved theatre. So that was just amazing for me, really, to have that opportunity to, you know, be going to all these events, meeting all these people. Yeah, it was a good time.